Okay, hi there, everybody. So today we are going to do a classical composition. I have taken one of I'm sorry, Mary Cassatt's very famous paintings, which is, I can't remember the name of it right now. I'll try to remember to put it in the chat. But it's a very famous painting of a woman sitting in a striped upholstered chair with a floral cart, like a flower cart in the back. So I took some liberties here to kind of make it a little bit more quirky since we're going to be using it in mixed media in the mixed media workshop. And I did my own hand design of this with a baby pram in the back instead of a floral cart. And the baby pram is of our precious little pumpkins and a couple of little asters, or maybe you might use those as sunflowers, or maybe you'll do this month's flower as the purple cone flower. It's really up to you, but it's a sweet little, petal like flower. And then she has like this little ruching that's kind of going on around her neck. Could be a ruffle, and then a bow. Gave her a sweet little face. Instead of giving her the tied up hair underneath a bonnet, I went ahead and I did a bucket pill hat with a little feathery thing coming out, and gave her a little 20s bob because it's the 20s, y'all. Okay. She's still in this sweet little striped upholstered chair. Did it very, very whimsical. And instead of giving her the full on gown that she actually is wearing, it looks like a silk, like a pink silk gown with the white goat skin gloves. Is what it looks like in the actual impressionistic painting. I went ahead and gave her like a quilt or an afghan or whatever. You can kind of play around with that. Put her in a setting of a room, just gave some line marks here. You could maybe make those into drapes, or maybe um, wall edges or something. You can use those, or you can take them out, however it is that you see fit. A lot of times whenever I'm doing these drawings, I expect you to make your own modifications, just like I made modifications to Mary Cassatt's work. I am copying her, but I'm hoping upon hope that when I am finished with my version of her work, they will look very, very different. Now, you are welcome to copy me if you want to. Now, this is a mixed media um, application, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to copy me exactly, because in the end, what I will end up doing is most likely adding in a layer of paper. I'm really excited about book pages on this one because Mary often painted women reading books. So I am going to take some of my book pages. I think I'll probably use Anne of Green Gables. I think I have an old copy of that running around here of Anne of Avonlea. So I'll probably use some of those, or some dictionary pages or something, to just kind of add in highlights and words and different things. So hopefully you can see what I'm working with today. I'm going to be working with a little bit of wax crayon today. And I have these new watercolors that I picked up over the summer. And they're all sharpened up and everything. They're Prismacolor watercolor pencils. I'm trying those out. I'm not really sure that I'm going to like them as much as I like my Staedtler. And as you can see, I have a lot of those already missing. They're already in my palette. But I think that I'm going to give it a try. This is the color palette that I'm working with this month. And so I'm not really sure how that's going to go for me when I'm using such a small amount of tools. I think I have 12 here. So I'm going to be doing a lot of creative markings and blending right onto the page. And it also looks like I'm going to have to find a pencil sharpener here in the studio. I gave mine away to Ina, so I may have to use the one behind me, which is a no-no. So I'm going to pull out some, I'm going to have to put on my glasses to see what colors these actually are. There's a dark green. I think I'm going to go with this grass green and make it kind of yucky. I don't know. I often use this lime green, which they're calling it spring green. So we'll just see. I may just use that spring green and then add a little bit of red to it to kind of get that grody color of green there. And then let's see, maybe crimson red. I think carmine red would be more appropriate. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, definitely carmine is a little bit better. And so we need this weird slurply color. So we might actually have to use the crimson red and the blue together. Let's blend real quick. So this is the crimson red, which has a little bit more darkness to it. So maybe that with this true blue might give us, I don't know, we'll just see. Let's try this again. Let's try the red. Just want to get it kind of close to that plummy color. I think this dark blue isn't going to cut it. Let's see. I'm going to get a little bit of water and see which one is going to work for me. That's with the true blue. Let's see with the darker blue. I think the darker blue is, we're still going to be fighting a little bit of that with what we have here. So I might have to reach into my other tricks and pull out this pink. I have this pink color, and I think that's probably going to be a little closer. I mean, maybe carmine red would work. I don't know. But that's certainly a difficult color to... It's definitely a difficult color. That's one of the reasons why I really... Oh, well, that might work. Okay, that might work. As long as we get it kind of in a more violet shade, I think I'll be happy with that. It doesn't have to be that strong fuchsia color, but I mean, it would make me more happy if it were, but I don't know that we're going to get that out of what we have here. Unless I were to use crayon for that. And that's one of the reasons why I have crayon. Guys, I just... I just pulled out this, so this is that color, so we can maybe use that. I just pulled my entire drawer of crayons out that were nice and organized, and they all fell on the floor. So it's going to be one of those kind of days. All right, so the striped chair in her rendering kind of has like a navy quality to it. We're going to do whatever it is that we want to do here. We do not have to do the way that she did it. I think I'm even going to use this orange. Yeah, I'm going to use that orange to kind of hit that color right there. And then this color, I think we're going to have to pull from either our markers. I don't know. Yeah, we might have to pull for our markers. I don't think we're going to be able to get it from those Prismacolors. We're going to try to work quickly. And let me just show you like a couple of things, like how I would work when I already have the line drawing on the page. And I typically don't work like this. This is, for me, this is, I feel, I don't know, I feel a little constricted. This is just me and the way that I feel. I feel a lot more constricted than some other people feel whenever it comes to working with inside of a line drawing. But you know what? Just because I'm so eager to get outside of those lines. Whenever I see a line, I just want to go over the line. It's just, I'm a rebel whenever it comes to that. And so I'm going to do my very, very best to keep my scribble scrabble within the lines. And it's going to be a little harder for me because my technique that I like so much is just to kind of be agitated with how I put my color down on the page. So if you are a little bit more secure and you like to make even strokes or whatever, that's fine. I think that whatever you're going to do, you need to be happy with the way that you make your color marks. For me, I like to have them very active. That to me kind of has a better looser quality. It doesn't, it kind of gives me a little bit of a freedom to kind of go outside of the line. It also feels like there's a little bit more motion and also expression of the work that is the actual artist is an impressionist. So it kind of feels a little bit more expressed in her style whenever I do all of that. So color wise, choose your colors the way that you want to choose your colors. I am going to start with this fun little green color, which is spring green. I'm going to start with the spring green. I really like a lot of that green, so I'm going to go ahead and down here in the Afghan. And again, I'm not going, I always think about that little girl that sat next to me, like in first grade, second grade, which I really don't know who it was that sat next to me in first grade or second grade, but she always colored so slow and so pretty, and she was so very precious with her strokes. And when she would turn in her little coloring, her little color pages or her whatever it is, her worksheets that we would do back in the when I was a kid, I I my work never looked like hers, and I always felt like she got an A plus because she was so neat. I'm not a neat artist. I feel like what I pull off in the end is pretty neat looking, like neato, but for me it's I'm not I like to keep things crisp by the colors that I use and the method that I'm actually using the colors. You see that I'm already starting to kind of twist my color up into a direction so my eye feels it feels like it has a little bit of growth. It feels confident, like this green is going in a direction. uh, I'm building out a pattern of color that may just be because of the way that I was trained in graphic design to just pull in color in certain um, blocks and batches of color. But that's just the way that I work, and you don't have to work that way. You can put color wherever it is that you want to do it. But for me, that is my method. I like to work in it's in rows and radiate my colors in different ways. It's almost like planting a garden. So you can do however it is that you see fit. So I'm working with this green, and I talked about maybe this is a drape. If it is a drape, I'm just going to go ahead and put this color here because it makes sense to me the way that I work with color. That I'm going to have this color kind of trickling through here, kind of like a little stream of color. So then I'm going to set that color aside. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to use it again. And it would also kind of probably make sense to bring that color down since maybe this was a drape. I'll just go ahead and bring it down. Because I also understand shadow and how that green curtain might look if it were not getting light. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this pinky red right on top of that green, and just that way it has like it's a opposing color. So right down here in the green area, I'm just going to decide real quick that I want to have like just a little bit of shadow. So I'm going to add that opposing color right on top of the green, not all over the place, just kind of in there to kind of give it a little bit of a grody, give it a little grit, make it a little brown, give it some age. And then now that I still have this color, this pinky color, which really is not on our palette here, but if I make this to be like a transition from this color to this color, I'm not really sure how I would do that other than broken color. So I really want a pop of this color somewhere. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to wiggle in between, just like real quick on these petals, just add like a dash. It's like a little peppering of that color right in there. Just give it a little wiggle. I really make all these agitated strokes, like I was talking about. And when I do inside of the line, oh, it makes me feel so good that I actually stayed inside the line. Now, notice that this is starting to curl this way. Here's another flower there. It's starting to kind of curl in this way. So I kind of want to build like this little sweeping motion of color. So it can go this way, it can go that way. Just the way that I want to work it. It doesn't mean that you have to do it this way. But because this is kind of happening this way, now I'm going to put some blue into the petals of these so it will kind of have that broken color and read more purple in when you're looking at it. But I'm already starting to think that I want to see maybe some of this color in her, like if this was a blouse or her dress, and see how I'm not getting all precious with the way that I'm filling in color. This is how I can do work really quick. And if I was batching like a whole bunch of these to like make a hand embellished card, like if you're doing hand embellished cards and you're using those like on your Etsy account or something, this is a way that I'm able to go quickly. So I've got this color going like this. Well, and then I might have like a little shot of color on this arm of the upholstery. Now, does that make sense? That this arm of upholstery would be this particular color if nothing else was that particular color in your room? Probably not. So let's just go ahead and let's give this chair like a little candy stripe right now. Pay attention to your lines. Skip, skip, skip. That way you're getting that stripe. By the way, stripes are like super, super trendy again. It seems like every 10 years or so, you have this really strong cabana awning type stripe come through in design to feel like super bold. We saw that with Kate Spade back in the day. Let's see, 2010. And then you saw it again 5 years later, like in 2015. It seemed to be like really hitting like the more common market space. Sometimes those trends take a while to get off of the runway and into your closet. Sometimes it takes about 5 years. So right now, this line, this stripe, which stripes are super conventional. They're always in style, but right now a stripe is super bold. It's very much showing up. I don't know if it has anything to do with political climate. Sometimes fashion and trends have a lot to do with political climate. So I don't really know if that's why. But stripes are like super, super hot. Now we're going to change this red into more of a brown tone. So the way that we would change that red in more of a brown tone, or if you wanted to do more of a purple tone, you could do that too. I am going to change it to more of a brown tone. So I think I'm going to go ahead and add in this green right here. I'm going to give a little wiggle. When you add in just a little bit of green, you're going to see more of the red that's happening. But it's still going to read brown. Now, so is this color going to coordinate with this stripe? Absolutely. So just fill in. You can fill in wherever your little white spots are, and all this stuff is going to run together once you hit it with a water brush. Or if you're not using a water brush, maybe you're using a brush dipped in water, okay? So then you got this grody color of green, and on top of that red, that's going to make like a, probably like a rusty brown. I don't know. We'll just have to see. That's the fun part about art, is that you get to see what happens. Okay, so color coordinating wise, so we were working with this soft red, which I chose this instead of going with the carmine, which is totally okay. Up here in the flowers, before we forget, we're going to take this lighter blue and we're going to wiggle a little color in just a little tiny bit, just to kind of have, this is called broken color if you just leave it like this, but once you hit it with like water or a liquid, solvent, whatever liquid solvent you're going to use, this, it's going to kind of come together and make a kind of like a violet tone to these flowers. So they're going to look a little bit more purpley. Okay, so now we have that, and we're starting to build in some rhythm. And let's not forget our so this is going to be brown, a brownish red, because it has the green in with the red, because those are going to collide. Those are going to make kind of a muddy color. We want to keep her blouse more in the pink range. So the way that we could do that is if we had a white or a gray in our if we had a white or a gray, we would fill in, that was water soluble, of course. We would fill in, but I decided we're going to go ahead and I'm going to use this peachy tan color. And so her blouse is actually going to be a little bit more on the peach tone. And that's going to actually work with the pumpkins, because we got these pumpkins that are happening up here. So let's go ahead and keep that out. So pumpkins, here we go with that yellow color. We're just going to just a little bit. We're not going to do the whole thing because we want to see some light happening. So just hit it just a little bit. That way they'll be nice and light. Okay. Now, if we have this here, then this starts to make sense, because you don't want this to be the only thing in the frame to be orange. So let's go ahead on the inside of this teacup. Let's go ahead and put like a little bit of orange in there. Maybe pull the orange down into the saucer. And if you want, you can take the orange around the afghan. so that your colors start to make sense. Now, when I used to do photography, like I would have to do like photography shots with others, and they would always tell us, like the professional photographers, and they would tell us to wear the same color as the other people. Even if it wasn't like the exact same color, they would tell us to wear the same color as the other people. That way, the camera didn't have to work too hard and think too hard about um, the actual color. Now, her face is going to be more of a peachy, pinky color for me, because when I look at this lady and I see this little bob haircut and this little smile here, I think it's my mom. So I don't tell her I said that. I just got off the phone with her and I told her, I said, oh yeah, we're going to do this. And she's like, oh, that's going to be nice. I didn't tell her that the lady reminded me of her just a little bit. My mom does not have this big of a nose, by the way, but because I gave her a little bob there, it kind of reminded me of my mom. So I'm going to give her a little pink face because my mom has kind of an olive complexion with a little pink in her face. And I'm going to use this little light colored yellow, even though it's not really on my palette. Just to kind of give her that alabaster type skin. My mom has gray hair now. She used to have blondish, brownish hair. So her hair is more my color. So I think I'm going to give her blue hair. Because I don't have gray in my palette. So I'm just going to give her blue hair. Huh. Okay, my mom will be so thrilled that she has blue hair. Because there's blue here, I think her gloves are going to have like a little blue tint to it. So we're going to pull that blue down into the Afghan. Very lightly scrub some color in and out wherever the white is, just very quickly. And we haven't even worked with this pram in the back. A lot of times prams to me are black, but let's go big or go home. What color would a really fancy pram be? I don't know. We might have to think on that just a little bit. I think we're going to leave the chair kind of this crispy red brown against the white. But to me, I think we're lacking in a certain color. I'm thinking that this is probably going to be pink. So I am going to pull this carmine red. And so she's sitting in a red chair. We're just going to scrub this a little bit. And we might decide to just have the shocking color of primrose somewhere. I'm not real sure yet. But I know these wheels are going to get a very dark blue. And maybe the pram will be blue. I'm not real sure. We'll give it a shot. I like to have some of this agitation going on. And let's talk about this cool hat this lady has on now. In the original, the hat matched her dress. So ladies used to often, dress very monochromatic. So if we wanted to do that, then let's go ahead and make this a little bit more of that peachy color. Let's have that going on through here. And for my background, I might actually pull in, for my background area, I might actually pull this in later on with some pages. So consider using some of your collage palette there. Now I'm changing my blue. I decided I want to go ahead and have this color green in there. And I think I want to go ahead and pull this green over on this side and then pull in that weird, I call it a weird spring green color. I think that'll be fun. That'll be a lot of fun. Many people ask me how I choose my colors. Hey, listen, I love to paint in white. So I'm usually working with a lot of very, very subtle tones. And in the end effects, I'll paint like super, super bright. And then I'll go over everything with my glazing method of doing the white. So how do I choose my colors? It's really, really and truly, I work in the same color palette kind of seasonally. That way I just get really in tune to those different colors. This makes no sense to me, so I think I really want to go ahead and pull it down here. Might even pull it a little bit into this chair down below. So I think after a while, you just kind of pick up the colors that you really enjoy working with. And you don't really think too much about, you know, is the grass supposed to be green or is it supposed to be blue? You work in the colors that make you happy. And then you don't get so caught up in the legalism of, well, it doesn't really come in that color. and when you start getting really caught up in the it doesn't really come in that color kind of mindset, then you're probably going to put too many stipulations on what you can actually do with your art. So right now I'm pulling in this wax yellow right here on the edge of this pram. Why? Because I don't want this to be any other color. I don't want this to run into there. The wax is going to create like a natural resist. And there's some other areas that I really want to do that in. So one of the areas that I would like to do that in, I wish I had a white crayon right here so I could show you what I was talking about. I'm going to pull this one out. This is Robin's Egg Blue. And I'm just going to go over these drapes real quick. And with my yellow, I don't know, I'm kind of feeling like I really want to see a lot of light happening in the background. So I'm going to scrabble real quick. I just don't want that light to go away. So with my yellow crayon, that's going to help me to hold the place of light happening maybe through this window. Okay. That will also kind of be pretty wonderful to happen maybe on her face. She has some lightness that's happening. And if I put that yellow right there on the tip of her nose, then I'm not going to have to worry too much about the colors not blending the way that I want them to blend. In the center, we don't want the flowers to be anything else but yellow. So I am using a crayon right on the center of that. Now, if you wanted to protect the ruffling of her blouse and keep that white, the best thing that I would say for you to do in this instance would be to take a white crayon. For some reason or another, I don't have white crayon. here on the area. So I'm going to use this almondy white crayon just to kind of keep that as pristine as possible. And I'm just using that to hold the place as if it were white, but it's probably not even showing up as pink as it is in person. Okay, so there you go. I would even take white and go back over the window. And if you wanted to keep some of that white in the chair, that striping, you can take your color, your crayon, and this will create a natural resist so that all the colors don't go, crazy. I even like it. I would even like it maybe a little bit in this Afghan to just kind of hold the place of light happening and coming through. Okay, so now that we're here, we can have fun. Do we have our aquarelle brush? I think I took that on a trip with me. So what I need to do is get me some clean water. And get at least this part done so it can dry. So everything that we did happened within 40 minutes or so, right? So now that what I'm going to do is I'm going to work light to dark. That way I can use the same brush and save some time. Now, let me tell you something. When you're doing leisure art, take your time. Do it right. But when you're working, let's say, and I'm just using this method just to say, when you're working on, say, getting some things out so you can get them on the sales table, and you need to work quickly, sometimes you need to build up a method of how to do your art. Now, you're a natural gifted artist, right? You're a natural gifted artist, but you know that people absolutely love to see, they love to see artist embellished pieces, gifts for the season. Now, I would say that if you're doing something like this would be a nice card where you're doing embellished gifts for the season and you're working really quick. You can work on, say, 6 at a time. Let's just pretend that this was a card and you're making 6 of them at a time. If you can do 12 at a time, that's awesome. The way that you continue to have personality and energy in your card without losing that to the fast work is put on some music. When it's finished, when the underpainting is finished, like I'm working toward getting this as an underpainting, when it's finished drying, you can add your own little extra expression to it so it doesn't feel like it's been produced. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Because a lot of times you can really tell. I drive by an art gallery almost daily as I take Ina to school. We drive by and they have a lot of, it's a town square, so they have a lot of art like up in the window, which I think is really a bad idea. But they have this really bright colored art in the window to try to get people to come in. It's really not the best place to put your art is in a window because it's gonna ruin your colors. But they have it like that. a lot of that art that I'm looking at, it doesn't look like it has any soul, or it doesn't look like it has any character, right? It just looks like it's been done, like it's been colored. And while you can color your own pages, like we're coloring right now, you can add in like your own little expressions at the end. And I can't wait to see what this one's going to have, because I know it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for me because I'm working inside of all these black lines. But I think it's going to be fun. Look at how all those little colors just kind of, they just come together. They wear well together. I am working on watercolor paper. It is a student grade watercolor paper that I picked up at Walmart on an end cap, so it's not all that special. But I like the texture of it. I think it's going to be really fun for me to do some more pastels and coloring on. So I'm just barely touching that to just kind of move that water wherever it is that I want it to move. If I have too much water and it's piling up, I can dab off and I can pull some of that water off of the page before it soaks all the way in. Because this isn't like I said, this isn't like a premium paper where it's going to soak in like right away. It's not going to slurp it up like a good Strathmore paper or like a good Arches. Okay, so I'm working from green. Now I'm going to work on this green over here. And I'm just going to move these colors together and get kind of like that bright green. I like to call that kind of like I have called it Japanese beetle green before. I have called it kind of like a sherbet green. I like that way of describing this green as being almost like a chartreuse or like a bright moss. And then when you're using that aqua green from the marker together, I'm still going to get some of that marker, those directional lines from the marker. And if you don't like that, don't make directional lines, because they are difficult to get out of your page. I don't mind it. In fact, Mary Cassatt, she has a lot of those directional lines in her work, even her paintings. It's not just her pastels. She has those directional scribble scrabble lines in her work, because as an impressionist, she's just trying to capture the mood like right then and there. There we go. We'll let that sit. And if we want to come back and add like a little white glaze over it, we could do that. Let's dab off. And with that green, we still have some green in the composition in this cup. And we pull that green just very lightly down into that red and then the orange. Dab off your brush so you're keeping your brush nice and clean to the inside rim of the cup. And now I've got that orange and I'm going to do the bow. Now, if you printed out this design, this is one of the things that I might say, is that if you printed out this design and you are working directly from the printed copy, some of these lines may bleed, especially if you're working from like an inkjet. So what I used was when I did my tracing, like I didn't trace, I actually freehanded this, but if you were tracing your design onto paper, you can use a pencil. I use a mechanical pencil to sketch everything out. And then I erase with my pink pearl, because I love a pink pearl. I like easy peasy, lemon squeezy, anything that you can get from the grocery store. It doesn't have to be an art gum eraser or anything fancy. Just use what you have. I erase all my lines after I used my black Sharpie to get the strong lines. And I only use the black Sharpie for you so I could get the design over to you in your email. All right, so we've got the orange, the orange, the orange. It looks like we've got all the orange except for in the Afghan. And I'm going to make some very quick, because if I don't go quick in the Afghan, I'm going to end up bluing, because all that blue that's in the Afghan. So I'm just going to go quick around each square that has the orange. So let it go ahead and permeate into see how we're doing on time. Awesome, awesome, awesome. We are almost done. Okay, so we're going to go from, before we do this blue pram, before we do these purple flowers, before we do this blue Afghan, I really feel like I need to go ahead and get the stripes out of my system. No, that's not true. That's not true. I don't need to get the stripes out of my system. Do you know why? Because this is going to be brown. So this needs to be left for the very last thing, I do believe. So let's go ahead very quickly. Let's work on the flowers. Let's see. We're going to go on the side of the brush. Just barely touch each petal with a little bit of water, and it pulls it all together and makes that really pretty. The blue and the purple are not really even going to marry all together. It's really not going to marinate, but the broken color makes it read purple. So sometimes you have to understand that sometimes colors come together in view to read a color. And especially when you're working with mixed media, that is a tip that I think is going to be very valuable, because like we did last time together when we did Georgia O'Keeffe's home, all of those colors coming together to make like the tamarisk tree, or all of those colors coming together to make the side of the house look like it had light on it, or look like it had shadow, look like it was one color. That is something that we just really have to adapt to, that not everything, just because you think it looks like one homogeneous color, it's not. It's a bunch of different colors that come together to make up that one color. If you ever get the opportunity, and I say this probably so often that you're like, okay, you're like wearing it out. You're always telling me about this. If you ever get the opportunity to go stand in front of an old master's painting, or a painting on collection at a museum, something that you are almost familiar with the artist, you've seen some of their work, in books or on cards, or you know like you know Van Gogh's Starry Night. Go look at some of the stuff. Go look at some of these paintings. It doesn't have to be Van Gogh. It can be anybody. Go look at some of these paintings, and when you come up closer to them, you're going to see those strokes, and you're going to feel a lot better about some of those little imperfections in your own work. Because when you stand back and you don't get all too precious with your strokes, you're going to go, oh my goodness, I had no idea that these famous artists were so messy with their strokes. You can be messy. I accidentally went right over my my little ruffle. What will I do about that? I accidentally did that. Well, I'm not really sure. I might have to come back with a little bit of white, or I might just make her ruffle a little tiny bit blue and then come over it with the white. That's not going to hurt my feelings too much. All right. Now, this Afghan, the way I really see this Afghan is to be kind of blown out. So I don't have any water here that I can actually control that. So the way that I'm going to control that is I am going to shoot it right through. Let's see what happens. I might have to actually pull some of this water up. I changed brushes real quick. And then I'm going to take a dry brush and just pull some of this water off the page. And then now we are going to finish up with our little striped chair. And my stripes look a little more red than I anticipated. So if I wanted to really have that brown, I could add more green. I can scrub these things together a little bit more. Now, I think that I'm going to allow this to rest after I get one more thing done. I just feel like I want like this chair not to be all that white. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm probably going to leave it this way, but I don't know. It'll give me time to think about my next shot of color. I think it'll definitely give me time to think about it. By allowing this just to, like, this is the time that I'm going to just walk away from it. Because if I don't walk away from it now, then I'm probably going to do too much to it. And then I'm going to lose the sharpness of the stripe in the chair. Even though right now, I'm like, I don't really like the sharpness of the chair. I think I really want it to be darker. But right now, I'm going to let this dry because probably what I'll do later is I'll come back in with some crayon and work from it from there. So again, this is a mixed media piece, so I can take my time with it. This is the first layer that I'm working with right here. You can take your time with it. You don't have to be all that, you don't have to use these same bright colors even. You can do your modifications in the way that you want to do them. I know in the end, because I know how I am, that even if I were to use like a lot of really dark colors, a lot of very dark navies, if I used any of those dark colors, I know that whatever I end up finishing with is probably going to have a lot of white in it. So I'm working really, really bright right now so that I can have kind of like a bright pastel when I finish. So this is my palette that I'm working with right here. And so I wanted to keep it nice and bright. I will probably have some different thoughts on this in between now and the next time that I touch this, which will probably be tomorrow, because I am going to leave my studio for the day and see what transpires after all this flattens out. This always ends up. Sometimes I'll come back and go, maybe I want gold. You know what? Maybe I need more white right there or whatever. So walk away, give yourself some time for your paintings to rest, and then come back, and then you can finish it up with another layer. This is very, very just kind of colored in like a coloring book right now for me. I can't imagine what it's going to look like whenever it's finished. Other than I'm hoping that it will have a lot of the effects that I would normally use in my art. So here we go. We'll just see. I'm turning the camera off and I'm walking out of the studio now.